And we're foisting on children 1.5% milk, which doesn't have a very good taste to many of them, and excluding them from 3.5%.
It was one of the most bizarre House floor speeches this year.
We want people to be able to drink the kind of milk they want to drink.
Yes, the same lawmaker who yelled at a black reporter for asking about 2020 election interference has now moved on to dairy products and invoking Santa Claus.
Whole milk is the unsung hero of his Christmas journey. Protein helps build and repair Santa's muscles. Hoisting heavy sacks of gifts up and down the chimney is no easy task.
Speaking of tasks, the Republican-led House still has not resolved issues including aid to Ukraine and Israel, a potential default on the U.S. debt, and impeaching a president with no evidence. But North Carolina Republican Virginia Foxx is prioritizing the protection of whole milk in schools and invoking Old St. Nick.
Calcium is vital for strong bones. It is calcium that keeps Santa strong and sturdy as he dashes from rooftop to rooftop. And vitamin D is essential to a strong immune system. Santa absolutely needs one as he braves the cold, wintry night. You see, it's not just the magic of the season that helps Santa deliver presents worldwide. It's also the fortifying nutrients of whole milk.
What the f***? In the same House floor speech, Foxx also threw in some apparent racism. She mentioned Barack Obama's race while arguing that it was the Obama administration that changed health standards for milk in schools.
It was under our first African-American president in this country that this was designed this way, and the First Lady pushed through these rules and regulations to exclude whole milk.
So you are saying black people don't like whole milk?
We want only the most nutritional option for Santa. The nutrients in whole milk, like protein, calcium, and vitamin D, provide the fuel Santa needs to travel the whole globe in one night.
It is true that whole milk has calcium and vitamin D, but it's also true, based on all peer-reviewed science and data, that lower fat content milk is healthier for kids. After this point was presented by a Democratic lawmaker, the conservative Foxx countered by invoking the Bible, because of course she would.
I'd just like to tell my colleague something that I think will be easy to remember about why we're doing this. Scientists/experts designed the Titanic. Amateurs designed, scientists, experts built the Titanic, and amateurs built the Ark.
In other words, kids, drink whole milk in school because Noah's Ark survived a flood, but the Titanic could not get past an iceberg. Huh? Virginia Foxx is clearly making a run for the title of nuttiest Republican in Congress. She often gets overlooked because of higher-profile lunatics like Lauren Boebert of Colorado and Georgia's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Still, Foxx has had her share of lunacy. The 80-year-old has embraced Republican legislation enabling state and local communities to ban books. She helped pass a bill in the Republican House that would make it easier for school districts to block materials involving sexual orientation and race. And yet Foxx has repeatedly spoken out against the Biden administration for regulating gas stoves in the Green New Deal.
Their newest attempt to prop up this failed radical agenda involved the banning of gas cooking appliances that millions of American families rely on every day.
Actually, they are not being banned, they are being regulated.
Make no mistake, this harebrained scheme is about more government control. More control over the lives of Americans, more control over what we do, and ultimately how we think.
Says the lawmaker who seems fine with government banning certain books.
What's the next domino to fall? Mr. Speaker, if this were to happen, American families would be crushed by high electricity bills and costly appliances in the name of climate activism. House Republicans have introduced the Save Our Gas Stoves Act and the Gas Stove Protection and Freedom Act to combat this madness.
Ah, yes, the Republicans stand for freedom, gas stoves, whole milk, heavy pollution factories. But if a woman wants reproductive freedoms or a teenager wants to read a book in the school library about the history of racism, well, forget about it. Anyway, Foxx occasionally gets challenged in some House hearings. Given her committee chairmanship, she's obligated to go before the Rules Committee to explain or try and defend GOP legislation headed to the House floor. A few months ago, Foxx testified about a GOP bill that would stop education spending on migrants. Democrat Jim McGovern of Massachusetts questioned Foxx about Republican policies of putting undocumented immigrants in a bus or plane and sending them to cities and towns run by Democrats.
Of that happening on the part of the Biden
So you think this is okay?
They have envelopes with them, with papers to show them what to do.
Right. So I mean, I saw what happened to some of these. I learned about what happened, I mean, with the migrants who were dropped off in Massachusetts without any coordination or notice. I mean, luckily, our values are different than the values that are being on display.
Well, I read the other day that there are some people still in Martha's Vineyard, and they're enjoying it very much.
Yeah, well,
they're working too illegally.
Yeah. I got to be honest with you. It is offensive to hear you talk in a manner in which you diminish the worth of human beings.
I am not in any way diminishing the worth of any human being. Mr.
So let me ask you a question.
I'm a very strong pro-life person. Yeah. I believe in treating people with dignity from birth to natural death.
I've lost count of how many times over the years we've been in the Rules Committee when I've heard you come up here and say that, you know, the federal government should butt out of decisions involving schools, and yet here you say that, you know, no, we're going to not only insert ourselves, but we're going to insert ourselves in a way where, let's say you are you're an educational institution that receives any federal money, that we will basically terminate federal support. If you, for example, in this heat wave, were to open up an empty gymnasium where there's no students at school right now, so that people don't die from heat exposure to the heat, that somehow that they're going to be punished for that?
The taxpayers, when you say the word federal money, you're talking about hardworking American taxpayers. You make it sound like it's manna from heaven. It's not fair to ask hardworking American taxpayers to pay to house illegal aliens. And that's what we're talking about.
And can you imagine the outrage if undocumented immigrants want to drink low-fat milk instead of whole milk? I have a feeling that Virginia Foxx would say, those migrants are declaring war on Santa and haven't learned the lesson of the Titanic, or something like that. There is cuckoo, and then there is North Carolina Republican Virginia Foxx. By the way, conservative news personality Megyn Kelly just spazzed out at Taylor Swift for attending a comedy show raising humanitarian aid for Gaza.
Attending this thing was wrong. It was wrong. Do some Googling. See what they do in Gaza to gays. See about women's rights in Gaza, Taylor. Otherwise, do this when it comes to talking about those issues again. You clearly know nothing.
Megyn Kelly is now getting widely ridiculed. Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.